meeting to order. Roll call.
Roll call. This action is taken by calling each board member's name with the board member answering present. Mr. Murray.
Present.
Ms. Wilson.
Present.
Ms. Higginbotham.
Present.
Mr. Kazook.
Present.
And Ms. Wicker.
Present. Okay, we have public comment this time. Anyone have anything you want to say now? Adoption of the agenda.
Okay, I've already taken it off of the, Ms. Carroll has for us, off the online one. But number 10, the one dealing with the landscape project, just an update, but we will not be taking any action. Of course, we are working on that bank, and it was referenced at last month's meeting of the bank, and get that landscaped and have some proposals soon for you all to review and approve. But besides that, Ms. Wicker, to remove that item, there's no other changes I have. Yes.
Motion, please.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Murray.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham.
Yes.
Mr. Kazook.
Yes.
And Ms. Wicker.
Yes. Lake Cumberland Regional College Workforce Center construction update.
Board members, they have pictures to show you, so you'll probably want to come down to the seats. We do that, trying to exercise Mr. Kazook's need.
All right, these are progress photos from October, some of the things that happened since the last time that I was here and gave a report. Just want to update a few of the, maybe. There we go. Some of the changes that you'll see, this is the Engineering Technology Lab. As you can see, if you've not been over the building for a while, a lot of painting is going on inside of the building. We pretty much got the building dried in now, so we're able to start putting block filler and paint on the walls. So it's really changing a lot on the inside. This is another photo of Engineering Technology Lab. This is just looking the other direction. You can see there in the back of the doorway, it's a large storage room in engineering and technology. This is some of the framing soffit work. This is going into the restrooms on the lower level. That'll all be covered. That soffit will all be covered, drywall and painted. Once we're complete, this shows you a lot of the framing that's being completed on the inside of the building. As you can see, a lot of duct work, electrical, mechanical, a lot of it's being completed too. You see a lot of that overhead. This is the framing. This is the stairwell going up to the student collaboration area. Again, you can see a lot of this framing coming into being completion inside the building now that we're dried in. Just a few more weeks, we should be ready to start drywalling.
Go back to the comment I just mentioned. I've asked Mr. Collin, Mr. Smith, and Larry, and them, and Mr. Roy and I did, about this space right now is totally sealed up, but we know we'll have a lot of meetings in this building, and we've asked for a proposal to see if we have to run the sprinkler in it and run electricity and make it up to code. But we would like to maybe convert that and put a door right here, like a 4-foot door, so we can get tables and chairs out and store that really easily, and have, so we have this space for meeting space. So at some point here soon, we'll talk about it at construction on Thursday, probably bring a request to you all to see the cost involved to make that a storage use for anything.
Because we didn't do that, all of this space right here would be closed in and drywall off.
Yeah. We can put a lot of things there. Now, if you take once it's done, just we can get it sealed up, and do it. That's something we work on.
This is the, must have gone off. I think that is good. This is the upper level office area. As you can see, a lot of framing, roughly electrical, see ductwork overhead. A lot of that's being completed. Once we get totally ready for that, that space will start accepting drywall. So we're just a few weeks away from that space beginning to drywall. This is the upper level restroom area. Going to the upper level, you can see there. Again, all of that soffit, ductwork, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, everything in overhead. A lot of this stuff overhead is near completion to where once we get above ceiling inspection, we're going to start painting above all the exposed ductwork, ceiling, stuff like that. So that'll really change the look of the inside once we get to that point. This is the vestibule area. This whole area is going to be open. You can see, the windows in that open space. All of this structure, ductwork will get painted. Of course, these metal stud frames will get drywall in. All this will be glass, looking in the office area. So this vestibule is going to be a really nice open space to let in a lot of natural light to the inside of that vestibule area. This is just another photo looking back the other direction. You can see how big and tall this is and how nice this lobby space will be for people coming in. This is that upper level vestibule area that people will access. And as many of you seen during fall break, we got paving completed, the base coat paving down. This is the obviously the greenhouse in the rear. You can see all of this paving down, how much nicer this area looks. We're paving down, cleaning up that white rock around anymore. This is looking back, the road going over the hill towards the construction trailers. You can see there's the asphalt all the way around the greenhouse.
It is just a base coat.
It is just a base coat. We'll come back in the spring and do the final coat, do all the final striping in the spring. This is just going to give us up out of dust and dirt and mud for the winter. This is actually the back of the existing high school, where all of that old grown up, grass, broken concrete, we cleaned all that up. It was a change order that we presented a couple months ago, but all of that work is complete there tonight. It's a whole lot more accessible and cleaner. That's another view of that over next to the industrial art side. You can see all that concrete's been put in, sidewalks poured, blacktop up around it. You don't have any other spaces for gravel, grass, all that. It's all cleaned up nice and neat. This is the north exterior entrance. You can see the canopies been installed. That's the main entrance in the center of the building on the north exterior, where you've got nice big large canopies to access on the inside where folks come in when they're flooding. This is just an overall shot of the northwest exterior. You can see this shows all the paint and all the curves down. Larry's even got grass already growing, so you're going to have to get the mow here pretty soon. That's just the northeast exterior of the parking lot. The curves are in, all of that base pavement is down complete. This is looking over the, from the upper level entrance, looking down. This is all of that landscape area that Mr. Ford talked about that we'll be looking at, get some proposals to do that work. We're going to go ahead and seek that now, get some grass established in it so it doesn't wash over the winter and dirt doesn't wash down the blacktop. So all of that area will be completely seeded and covered here in just a few weeks. lot's all completed, now you don't have gravel and stuff down here. And here's where the turnaround is on that upper level, where the canopy's going into that upper level vestibule area inside the building. So all of that upper level work on the exterior is pretty well complete, except for the center part of this turnaround. So all of that work is complete. But even up here, we've got grass established where we'll have washing this winter. That's all the photos I have. Any questions from anybody on progress?
Why didn't Miss Nancy, where it shows you blacktop there and you see the curb on the outside? Is there gonna be a drop off there, or is there gonna be grass? Looks like it's like an 8-inch drop off right there.
You're talking about, right here?
Not like that,
Like where you're at, along the wall, down here.
That is where there's gonna be gravel installed there, and there's gonna be guardrail put in.
Okay.
That area will be-
Like it's gonna be a drop off.
The gravel will be built up, yeah, it'll be built up even with the pavement. But that whole area along that wall will be guardrail.
And then there'll be a decorative railing on top of the wall.
Correct.
That's smart,
You're worried about your little car? Car drop off.
yeah, big time.
Rain's got them out, pick it up.
Yeah. I saw it over that man, right?
Oh, yeah.
Man over there, and I saw it, what he does.
Oh, it looks really nice.
I'm trying to find who big like that.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Tell Larry you don't have money.
I won't tell him too many times. He's busy.
Tony, did you have anything?
Yes, sir. It's been wonderful project. It's going really exceptionally well. I worked the best part of the type of work I've done in 22 years now. Well managed, well, really clean, really, really nice.
All right.
Good.
Thank you.
Consent agenda items.
For the consent agenda items, it's approval of the previous meeting minutes, payment of bills, construction funds, school activity fund reports, financial report, the treasurer's monthly report for September 2020, and our out-of-state and overnight trips, and I will read the treasurer's report. Treasurer's monthly report for the month of September 2020, balance on hand at the beginning of the month, $6,647,201.81. Total of all receipts for the month, $1,234,007.85. Total of all receipts and beginning balance, $7,881,209.66. Disbursements for the month, $3,670,447.91. Balance at the close of the month, the cash in bank, $4,210,761.75. General fund, Fund 1, $4,533,085.23. Special projects, Fund 2, -$186,001.06. District activity, Fund 21, $3,784.90. Capital outlay, Fund 310, $135,392. FSBK building fund, Fund 320, $71,258.28. Construction, Fund 360, $635,499.28. Debt service, Fund 400, negative $971,979.89. Food service, Fund 51, negative $13,904.69. Fiduciary fund, Fund 7,000, $3,627.70. Total cash in bank of all the funds, $4,210,761.75. And Ms. Carnes, if you noted on the treasurer's comments, we've already received a federal reimbursement for the Fund 2 of $244,514 on October the 6th. Keep in mind, what we said over and over on Fund 2, we spend it, request reimbursement. So that came in on October the 6th, which is more than what was needed at that particular time. And debt service, if you all recall from in years past, it always runs negative this time of year. And when we get the first property tax collection in November, of course, with our nickels for a bond payment, that will be taken care of. And then food service, certainly is going to be something that we will monitor throughout this school year. Obviously, we don't have, even with the awesome job they're doing and the number of meals that we're delivering and the number of meals that are being picked up, it's still not the participation rate for breakfast and lunch that we would have if we were in traditional school. And as Ms. Carnes notes, we may have to use some COVID relief funds to support food service. So that's just something we're going to have to keep an eye on throughout the year as we go on.
Is it that they can't get it, or transportation, or?
Well, you just think about 3,000 kids coming into school every day. That number of kids is not going to come and pick it up, or we're not going to deliver. It's just not going to happen.
It's not feasible.
So if there are no changes or amendments, I recommend approval of the consent agenda items.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
Ms. Wickerson.
Yes. Out of state, overnight trips.
It was part of the consent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Russell County Schools hybrid schedule.
So I want to formalize some things. As you all know, of course, we started back today due to Russell County being in the red, that we were back to all virtual. At the September 21st, 2020 meeting is when the board had adopted the hybrid schedule for the middle and high school, which, all things considering, it went very well for the few days that we got to work on that schedule. We're A through L on Monday and Tuesday, M through Z on Thursday and Friday. Of course, all students were virtual on Wednesday, and we used that day for extra cleaning and sanitation. Of course, if a class was heavily lopsided due to the last names, of course, the principal had some options, to move some students with one way or the other. But our elementary schools, and I've shared this with you all, for the most part, you really wouldn't think that COVID was going on because they are packed full. This past week, they were just about, normal number of attendance. That makes a lot of things difficult. That makes social distancing difficult, and it strains that opportunity to be able to do that. And furthermore, when we do have a positive case, and I've said this from the beginning, when you're not going to deal with thousands of kids and not have a positive case, it makes contact tracing extremely difficult. As you all know, we've had some positive cases now since we've been in person at both Jamestown Elementary School and at most recently, last night I was dealing with at Russell County Middle School. So when we do get to come back in person and the community rate is down, I'm also proposing that our elementary schools also go back on a hybrid schedule. It goes without saying, we've said this many times over, we can all agree there's nothing best than students being in the classroom with their teachers and everybody going on a normal day. The key word there being normal, and there is no such thing right now. Everybody references the new normal, and I've not even figured out what that is yet. But our teachers need some breathing room in those classes to where the students can be spread out more. You know, initially, this may have worked because of the number of parents that said that their child was going to be virtual throughout the year. But when it came time to start school, we had a overwhelming majority of our elementary students were back in person. Which, don't get me wrong, that's a great thing. It was great, school being in person last week. It was great to see the faces, and our faculty and staff did an outstanding job, as they always do. But we need to be able to properly distance those kids, and that provides another level of safety and comfort for our faculty and staff. And also, when students have to be quarantined, you're dealing with half the number of what you could potentially do, you know, if we had extra space in the room. And so, you know, James Elementary School, some additional students, they were quarantined simply because the room was, you know, not all the kids were 6 feet apart. It wasn't necessarily possible. Everybody just did the best that they could. Everybody had a mask on, great. That was not an issue last week. That was a non-issue of students wearing masks. That went very well. And our faculty and staff done very well. But we need some more space in the classrooms. Additionally, and this is difficult, and I'm the first one to admit that. But we need some. I'm asking for flexibility on athletic and extracurricular events to be approved or denied at my discretion on a case-by-case basis. You look at what's right now that's getting ready to happen with volleyball. Our young ladies on the volleyball team have worked hard all season long. They're in district play that starts tonight. They're playing in district play. Would we have taken that away from them? Our band has not got to have a marching season the entire year. They've got a few competitions, if you want to call it that, planned for the next few weeks. We're scheduled next week to host volleyball. Tomorrow night is a conference football game for the middle school. This coming Friday is a district championship for football for the high school that we need for seating purposes. All those things come into play in the midst of, I realize that we're not in person and not having in-person classes. So let me just read what I've got on the recommendation. I'll be happy to discuss it. This morning I met with Mr. Ackerman and Mr. Gossage and our athletic directors, Mr. Ellis and Mr. Carpenter, just to get their input. Having said that, we are canceling things that we can cancel. You know, that's not a conference game at the middle school level or district games. For instance, the middle school girls had a game tonight with Clinton County, and we canceled that game just to try to, you know, restrict the number of people when we can. So I'm recommending that the elementary, middle, and high school all operate on a hybrid schedule as noted once in-person classes resume under the guidelines of the COVID-19 mode of instruction metrics for K-12. And just a reminder, that's the green, yellow, orange, and red that we've all become very familiar with. And that's issued by the Kentucky Department of Public Health and the Kentucky Department of Education regarding classes, and authorize the superintendent to approve or deny participation in athletic events or extracurricular activities on a case-by-case basis. And this is what's very common. I'll use Clinton County, for example. Dr. Parsons, a good friend of mine, they're going back all virtual, and they're hosting volleyball district this week, and that was selected by the Kentucky High School Athletic Association. We're hosting regional volleyball next week, and if I would have told our volleyball team that no, you're not going to district, they're done. They forfeit. The Kentucky High School Athletic Association doesn't give a leeway that says, well, you're in the red, we'll postpone or we'll wait a while. I just don't think it's necessarily fair for the kids and the teams and the coaches that they work so hard, and it's a more controlled environment than an entire school. Trust me when I say that we will limit what we can limit, and we will eliminate what we can eliminate, and still keep the conference matches and the things that we need for postseason play, and just try to strike a balance to the best that we can. I just realize it's controversial. There's no way to say it besides just to say it's controversial with extracurricular events and virtual instruction for students, and I get that.
I noticed that Clinton County was restricted tonight just for immediate family.
Yes, yes.
players, I don't know.
And
I
we
haven't
will,
heard of any athletes being, have you?
no, we've not had an outbreak. We've had, some exposure from some other teams that we've played with some kids, here and there, but we've canceled some games out of an abundance of caution and some situations, but what has had, it's been very, very, limited. Of course, they take the kids' temperatures before they play again, and they screen them for all the temperature checks, just like the band does. You know, they've been really diligent on all that. I'll give a big shout out to the coaches and our athletic directors, and it's been quite the undertaking to make all that work.
I just don't think you can take everything away. I mean, that's my opinion.
I'll make a motion to approve this recommendation item on frequency and all. That's it.
Well, it's really hard, you know, I've heard some discontent with, not going to school and in person and then still having an athletic game, but that is ruled by the athletic association. I mean, their rules are what we go by. Is that true?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good example of the fact that because Clinton County is red, Kentucky High School Athletic Association didn't call them today and say, well, you all are not hosting volleyball. We're red, and they didn't call us and say, you all are not hosting regional volleyball next week. You know, our obligation still rests to host those events.
And yet, as you say, we haven't had many in those.
And there's a lot of protocol. For instance, next week when we're hosting regional volleyball, there's the first game. That game is played. The gym is cleared. The staff has to come in, clean, wipe everything down before the next group comes in, and it doesn't start till 8 o'clock. So it will be a late evening. But they have to clear the gym out, and then we bring in the next group. And it's going to be sectioned off to where Russell County fans sit here, you know, and Clinton County fans sit here, et cetera, just to try to keep so folks don't intermingle with that.
And they will be socially distanced.
And with your household. And again, like Ms. Joyce said, we will want to limit and encourage folks. And you hate to not to come out and tell people to come out and support the teams, but it's just different times. Yeah.
So we need a motion on the,
Julie made a motion.
Yeah, she was Joyce.
I'll second.
Mr. Murray.
I know this ain't gonna be a popular vote. You know, like, last month we voted half bill and went 1 week and shut it back down. I personally, myself, I don't feel we should have in-house sports going on, because there's too much contact from everywhere. And like I said, I know this ain't a popular vote, but I'm gonna vote no for the safety of the kids.
I understand, Mr. Murray. Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
yes,
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Ms. Wicker.
yes. And it is hard, but I've had kids taking part in different things, and you cancel it after they work so hard. It's hard.
It is.
Tender of completion contractor to Russell County Board of Education, lease agreement with Lexon
Yeah,
Insurance Company.
I know that's not a mouthful, is it? Ms. Wicker?
It's behind the mask.
Yeah, and Mr. Smith's still here, so he can chime in too, but in simple terms, this releases Rogers Aluminum, and we're acknowledging that we are allowing the insurance company with Lake Cumberland Glass is going to take over and complete the agreed upon work, and the complete contract with the exhibit is attached for your review. Because we are bonded, as we talked about last time, and that's what's important with school districts, you know, that's why all the contractors have to be bonded. We're not going to be out any money. Branscome's is actually going to be out some money because they had to cover up those windows and all that stuff like that that were left open, but that will be paid through the bond as well. Mr. Hoover and Mr. Smith and I have had this back and forth on numerous occasions with the insurance company, haven't we, Mr. Smith, before it reached this point. Did I accurately describe what's happening here, didn't I?
It's basically an agreement to complete the project on behalf of Rogers by another contractor, which is Lake Cumberland Glass. But the insurance company, it doesn't cost the board any more money. The remaining money left on the Rogers contract will be paid to Lake Cumberland Glass for the complete. And it will also be bonded. The bonding company will pick up the cost of the bond to bond Lake Cumberland Glass. So it's still going to be bonded. You're not losing your bond because you're switching contractors. They will still be bonded.
So there's been a lot of work behind the scenes to get to this point to bring it to you all, but we do need this approved so we can move on. And like I said, Mr. Hoover's already reviewed it and told me it's fine to move forward with it. And then Lake Cumberland Glass will pick it up. And then we will have another change order, again, no cost to the board, but we will have another change order to address the cost that Branscome's had to have to close in the windows and the overhead doors and everything. I recommend that the Russell County Board of Education approve the attached tender of completion contract and release agreement with Lexon Insurance Company as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Brenda? Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Kazook?
Yes.
And Ms. Wickerson?
Yes.
Skip over to non-resident contracts.
Non-resident contract.
For your all's information, these are due earlier than what they have in the past. That's why we've been dealing with them at every board meeting, it seems like. But this one was with Casey County, so contracts are required by KRS 157.350, which reads in part, each district which meets the following requirements shall be eligible to share in the distribution of funds from the Fund to Support Education Excellence in Kentucky, includes no non-resident pupils in its average daily attendance except by written agreement with the district of pupils' legal residence. District to enter into non-resident contract is Casey County, and you see the years listed. It goes from 2021 all the way through the 2023-2024 school year. 5 for 5 students attending Casey County residing in the Russell County School District. So I recommend approval of the non-resident contract with Casey County School District for the 2021 through the 2023-2024 school year, and authorize the state funds to follow students where they are attending school. So they can have 5 of our students, and we can have 5 of their students.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Ms. Wicker.
Yes. Shorten school day and/or week.
The local boards of education must approve requests for students to have a shortened school day or week. The decision is determined by the needs of the student. The documentation, including the board's recommendation, is then submitted to the Kentucky Department of Education. And I know you all have seen these so many times, but it is retroactive from the time that they had the admissions and release committee meeting with the student. I recommend a shortened school day and/or week for the following students: ID S21-01, S21-02, and S21-03, and the necessary documentation is forwarded to the Kentucky Department of Education.
Do these kids come in any individually?
Oh, that was something I was going to mention. We are providing targeted services for not only some special education students, but really any student that is behind the, even when we're in the red, we started doing that before. We are allowed to bring students in and work with them. And I know one of the special education teachers at the high school had sent out a big email today and said, let us know if you've got kids in your classroom and they're kind of getting behind. And we've been doing that at every single school. And that's why you'll still see some buses out right now, because they don't necessarily all have transportation, and we'll bring them in. We cannot bring them in and leave them there for the day. That's not allowed, but we can bring them in what's referred to as RTI, or targeted support services. for the kids. So it could be help catch them up, or maybe a new skill, or maybe they need to take a test or something like that. Yeah.
The speech is doing that too.
They are for some, yep, and so is TT and OT and everybody, yeah.
Technology skills, correct? If needed.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay. Talk to Mama Friday about that.
So, we need a motion for the shortened school day and or week.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
it. Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Ms. Wood.
Yes. Personnel reports.
Personnel reports, Patty Glover resigned, Russell County High School Secretary, effective October 16th, 2020. Keith Ellis hired, Russell County Middle School Assistant Athletic Director. Jamie Hammond hired, Russell County High School Administrative Assistant. Glenda Prater hired as interim head swim coach. Dustin Gossage hired, assistant boys soccer coach. And Tabitha Wade hired, Russell County Middle School 8th grade social studies teacher.
What is administrative assistant?
They, secretary, same one, she's gone, yeah,
Position.
yeah.
Okay, that doesn't need
The
a,
vice board.
that doesn't need a motion.
No, this is just
Okay,
information.
I don't know who that is, I don't think. You must put copies,
do we need public comments now?
Yeah, that's what.
Anyone have any public comments? Mr. Onion, come up with something.
Well, I assume you'll confer with the health department on some of these extracurricular.
Yes, they, literally, you all heard me say it so much, I'm telling you, you all do not know how much I appreciate the health department, and they are literally available to me. I might as well just say 24/7, 7 days a week, because the other night, it was 7:30 or something, I sent one of them a text and had me a phone call, because we oftentimes get word of students testing positive, or faculty testing positive in the evening, and sometimes I need some advice on how we're gonna roll with that. But they are absolutely fabulous, on what they provide for us, just absolutely fabulous. And there's not a day, I don't know that since this started, that I'm not texting, calling, and talking to them, Mr. Onion. They're great to work with.
Please, I have a follow-up. Is 24/7, 7 days a week, a double week, or what?
Yeah, I guess it is. Only you would catch that.
Anyone else?
I make the motion we adjourn. Are we further around?
Mr. Kazook, second. All in favor?